One question I get asked a lot is how much do you need to spend to get a home on Lake Lanier and what do you get for your money? And well, the answer, it just may surprise you. You're gonna find a variety of price points on the lake, but the one you really might want may not be what you can actually afford. Today, I want to give you actual examples of listings that are currently available on Lake Lanier to show you exactly what you get depending upon your budget. So let's take a look at what you get at 3 different price points on Lake Lanier. So let's talk about the kind of entry-level price point of Lake Lanier. So years ago, you were able to get a house on Lake Lanier, a decent house, for under $500,000. Right now, though, $500,000 is kind of like the entry price point to Lake Lanier if you want something even halfway decent. So let's see what you get at that price point. And just to show you how much demand there are for houses on Lake Lanier, there's currently only 2 houses on the market in that $500,000 price range with a dock at the timing of filming this video throughout all 5 counties that Lake Lanier lies in. Obviously, you're gonna find some homes that are listed for less than $500,000. There's only currently, 6 on there. Those are gonna be tear downs, maybe platform docks, just things that simply would not be a good investment for you as a buyer. So let's talk about things that you're probably not going to find in this $500,000 price point. I can confidently say that you are going to have a very difficult time finding a home on deep water with a dock with a maximum budget of $500,000. Many of the homes currently listed don't even have direct water access, meaning you can't look out your back window and see the water, and the neighborhood it is in may have sections on the water, but your specific house might not be. Now, if you're wanting a home directly with a dock, well, you're gonna have to increase your price point. And the homes that we're about to look at do have a dock, but it's going to have some trade-offs to be on the lake with a dock. So like I said, if you're lucky enough to find a home with a dock in this price point, you're going to have some trade-offs, and more than likely you're going to have a pretty steep walk down to the water, and you'll probably be more like in a cove, maybe with some shallow water. So right now, at that $500,000 price point, if you want a dock included, we talked about there's very few listings out there. So let's take a look at this house. It's currently listed for $499,000. It does have a dock, which is great. And there's a lot of potential here, but as you can see, it needs a lot of work and updating and repairs in order to make it livable. If it wasn't located on the lake in Buford, say it was just a house in Oakwood, not on the lake, you could probably knock $200,000 off that price. Well, heck, even more. There's another home listed at $450,000 that is definitely in better shape and has a ton of potential to be a really charming little lake house, and it has a dock as well. It's definitely in much better shape than the first house I mentioned, but that walk to the dock looks really steep, although your dock is really nice and you have a party dock, and that is hard to find in that price range. In the middle of doing research for this video, a new listing went live at $479,000. In my opinion, this house is the best listing by far in this price range. It's a super cute little cabin with a deep water dock, and I bet it's going to be under contract by the time this video gets published. This house shows that it is possible to find a cute livable home on the lake that won't completely break the bank. Based on our current market, people are going to be, offering over asking price, and these homes go very, very quickly. There is currently a home listed at $525,000, so just a little bit over that $500,000 budget. It has a deep water dock that it's included and great lake views, but the entire thing needs to be gutted and remodeled or just tear it down. Essentially, you are buying the lot at that price. So it's only 989 square feet. I can't imagine that someone would actually remodel that. Like I said, that's a teardown. So I think you can tell based on all these things, the types of homes that you're gonna get in this price range is very different. So you're gonna have either small teardowns, you're gonna have 2-bedroom, maybe a 3-bedroom home for around 12 to 1,400 square feet. It might be in need of a total overhaul, or you might get lucky and kind of find that needle in a haystack. But you're going to have to be very competitive to get that offer in, which might kind of push it out of your price range. So there are some other properties listed in this price range that I did not show that are pretty close to the lake or have some seasonal views, and they're in much better condition than a lot of these houses, but they don't have direct lake access, meaning that you're not going to have that dock in your backyard, which is essentially, if you're going to be on the lake and that's important to you, you're going to pay for that. So let's take a look at what we get when we bump up that budget to around $750,000. You're definitely going to get some more options. So some of these homes range between $500,000 and $750,000, and they have their own dock, but not all of them. Some of these are going to be in neighborhoods that have community docks and neighborhood clubhouses instead of having their own dock. So you do have access to the water, but it's not going to be directly in your backyard. Most of these homes have a lot bigger in size. Many you're going to find with a basement, bigger lots. And many of these houses were kind of built in the late 80s and 90s, so if they haven't already been updated, you might find yourself wanting to do a bit of updating yourself. You will find some that have been remodeled, and you're going to find some that are not going to need quite as much as updating. But there's a few that are still kind of rocking the wallpaper, colorful carpet. But as we say in real estate, there's so much potential. All right, so let's take a look at this home that is listed at $699,000. It's built in 1987 and it has some updating done. This house does have its own dock, but it's on a little bit of a steep side compared to some of the other homes that you might find in the price range. And if you take a look at this kitchen here, it's a little bit unique. It's got 2 microwaves and 2 ovens. I've never seen this in a house before. Gives a whole new meaning to double ovens, and perhaps maybe this is a cultural thing that I'm not aware of. However, weird kitchen aside, this is a great spot on the lake, and it's a very fair price for this home given the square footage that you get on the lake. So there are some new construction options for you, but many of those do not have their own dock, and that's something that I get asked a lot is wanting to know about new construction on the lake. And because the Army Corps of Engineers has stopped issuing dock permits on the lake, you know, essentially, if you don't already have a lot with the dock permit, that kind of stops you from getting a new home on the lake with the dock permit unless you're buying that lot with the permit already. All right, so this home that was listed at $700,000 has been completely updated and it's super charming. There's a basement that has a theater, a wet bar, and the best part about this house is that the dock is just right outside the house with a great gentle walk to the water. This is a great find in this price point. And another thing that you will notice is that some people will ask you to buy the dock separately in addition to the home. Or they might advertise a home being directly on the lake with the dock, but there might be a caveat. So what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at this listing that's currently listed for $719,000. This house is in a fantastic community called Harbor Point on Lake Lanier in Gainesville, and this community does have some houses that sit directly on the water. However, majority of the homes in this neighborhood are not going to be on the water, and the dock access that you have is at a community dock where you have to buy your own boat slip. This home in particular, you can purchase a community boat slip at the community dock for an additional $45,000 that's not included in the listing of this house. And this house isn't even directly on the water. And that is why when you're searching for a lake home, you definitely want a really great agent who can help you in negotiations, do some research for you, and answer all these questions and kind of explain the ins and outs of what is and what's not included with the property, what kind of dock you're getting, what's permitted for, and so on. So I've made a great video that you can check out here on my channel talking about all the things lake owners wish they would have known before buying a house on Lake Lanier. And if you're thinking about buying a house and you have not watched that video, I definitely recommend it. So many great tips in that video. So living on the lake is a totally different ballgame than just purchasing a home in a standard neighborhood in another part of town. There are so many more things to consider than just the price and location. Now, let's take a look at what do you get when you get to that $1 million price point. Obviously, with more money, you get more options and more problems. Is that how the saying goes? Bigger house, more problems. So if your budget's over $750,000 to $1 million, you have about 60 more options that are currently on the market right now. Though the highest price home on Lake Lanier right now is just under $8 million. That's crazy. So there are a lot less compromises to be made at homes in this price range, obviously, as many of them have their own docks. They're going to be on deep water. But again, not every home has its own dock, and I could show you about 20 homes kind of in that price range that don't have a dock. But we're talking about homes with a dock here. Let's look at what $1 million gets you with a dock on Lake Lanier. All right, so we're gonna start just under $1 million and kind of look at this $899 price point. And I think one thing that you're gonna notice as you look at these houses is that they're not gonna be like your typical $1 million price point homes or what you would think that you're gonna get for $1 million. Obviously, you're gonna have a better location, a better dock. Hopefully you should have an easier walk to the dock for that price. So with this $899,000 home, you're gonna find that the house is definitely nice in and of itself, but it's definitely not what you would think you would get for $900,000 on the lake. at least in my opinion. What you're purchasing here is that beautiful view of the lake and a flat walk right down to your dock. And like one of the houses we talked about earlier, if you picked it up and moved it away from the lake, it's definitely not going to hold that same value. But that location, the great walk to the dock, that is what's giving you the price point here of this house. So there are some larger pieces of land with homes that basically need torn down or totally overhauled in this price range as well, but there are definitely some incredible homes here. I've toured homes in this price point that feel like a place you would pay a lot of money to stay for a few nights with some friends for a getaway, and they could easily sleep 20 people. Most of them have some sort of pool, hot tub, and fabulous lake views. This house is currently listed at 1.5. It's pretty new, very modern, huge house with over 6,000 square feet, super modern and very different from your typical lake house. This home is so unique. It has an amazing rooftop terrace that gives you incredible views of your own deep water dock right on the lake. You won't have to make as many sacrifices to find the right home with a higher budget, but like this, that doesn't mean that every property we're going to tick off all of your boxes just because you're spending $1 million. As I tell clients searching in this price point, you're going to have to compromise. No matter what price point you're searching on, you're never going to be able to find something that checks off all of those boxes that you wanted. It took a recent client and I a couple of months to find the perfect home for him that kind of met all of his needs. He wanted a private lot with a room for a pool, or at least, one maybe even already there. And we found him a beautiful home with tons of space, but he's still going to do some updates to the interior because, like I mentioned earlier, even homes in this price point, most of them are kind of built 20 and 30 years ago. They still need updating. So even if you had an unlimited budget, there's only so much available land and so many dock permits on Lake Lanier. So sometimes you just have to make the best of the house that you can get and do your own renovations to make it check off all of your boxes. At the end of the day, despite your budget, you may have to be a little bit more flexible when looking for a home on Lake Lanier. But trust me, it is worth it. The views are great, of course, and there's nothing more relaxing than a sunset cruise around the lake on a warm summer evening, or a day out tubing and skiing with your friends. And the sense of community that you feel when you're out on the lake meeting up with friends is amazing. I would love to help you find your lake home if you have any interest. I would love to help you find a lake home on Lake Lanier or anywhere in the surrounding counties. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can find my contact information in the comments. And if there is a video that you would like to see made on Lake Lanier or a topic, make sure you leave me a comment. I love to read those and definitely will make you that video.